I assume whoever wins gets it. Now, there's been an odd symmetry in sleeves. I mean, here we're playing green versus green. Sam Bratz was playing blue versus blue.
Yep.
Everyone just wants to lose their milks of the poppies to their opponents. So how likely is this to be a reverse banner?
Let's see. Baratheon Kraken. I don't think it will probably be truly reversed. Because there's a lot of
look at it.
There's a lot of really good loyal. I'm seeing a lot of neutral, actually.
Yeah, could this be following the same idea of the Barra crossing that we saw?
Maybe
having a fair bit of that neutral.
Yeah.
And just playing it out of a different faction. I mean, I think it's tough to squeeze in that neutral when you have to have a banner as well.
Right.
That's dictating 12 of your cards. But maybe, as someone said in the chat earlier, the trick to playing Barra well in this environment is playing very few Barra cards.
Yeah.
I see 2 Ashes in that hand. That's core Asha, not new Asha, obviously. She's loyal.
Right.
And
got Lem Lemon Cloak as well.
Flames. Lemon Cloak was also in the other deck we saw. No economy there. Only a 3-card setup against an HRD that is also a 3-card setup. I don't think that's exactly what you want to see. You want to have a little bit of a setup edge when you're facing against HRD.
Yep.
So this surprises me. Maybe he mulliganed, and I saw the deck being shuffled for a while, but I wasn't sure if that was a mulligan.
Yep.
And that little token on Lemon Cloak is not a power token. It is a power icon.
Unsanctioned reminder token.
Yeah. Hey, we didn't disqualify people for using dice for their trade routes gold turns.
Yes, but you're allowed to use reminders for tracking gold.
But you're not allowed to use dice.
It's true, but the principle of using tokens or whatever to track your gold, as opposed to tracking.
If we're following FFG's official guidelines, those are not FFG components.
It's true.
On that board.
It's true.
Nor are those playmats.
True.
One of those playmats.
Is a playmat counted as part of the game? Is that something that you could say?
Well, if you say it isn't, you could certainly mislead your opponent by having a playmat that has like the wall as a card on it.
Printed on it.
Yeah, like that would be pretty dirty. I don't know why I jumped to these conclusions, but yes, certainly, I think you have to take into account the playmat so that you can discipline if the playmat is not appropriate or is,
Sure. Fair enough. We've got Calm Over Westeros and then Train with the Pentoshi out here. All right. Melisandre popping in and Marjorie Tyrell over on the Tyrell side.
It looks like there's an unsanctioned reminder token for calling for military.
Yep.
I don't really see why they're worried about military. They've got Tinder Marge on the board. They're not really worried about Claim 2. And they've got a Chud that they're just happy to get rid of anyway. So
right. I feel like I might have intrigue or just not opened with Calm Over Westeros, but
yeah.
But what do I know?
No, I prefer Calm Over Westeros later in the game when you can deny a power challenge. Certainly, that's my favorite use for it. But it can be quite useful to stabilize an early board against an aggressive deck. But I don't think you're expecting this deck to be that aggressive. But right. He's probably better informed about what this deck is doing than we are. Sean telling us that that this is a sanctioned token. He thinks it's the Gen Con icon removal token.
Oh, well, so that's an OP thing. I'm just a grump who wants everyone to remember everything. Littlefinger.
Iron Mines. Not strong on the Vera cards so far.
Yeah, I see a Maester Crescent in there. Obviously, a quite good Vera card.
That's what you want to see against a Tinder Marge. Certainly, that's not a bad thing to see. And of course, you know that since he didn't trigger Melisandre coming in, that he has a scene in Flames. I mean, it's basically telegraphed. He's right to go, and we've seen it. But I mean, even at this point, the Tyrell player should know that.
Should expect it. Yes. All right, got the high tower there.
That's what the Tyrell player wants to see.
Quite a bit of that, yep.
But certainly 6 more gold and nothing else marshaled yet. We've got to be able to fit at least one more thing in there. They need to trigger a high tower, get some draw.
Oh yeah. We can spy what's in the hand there. I see Randall.
Well, that's a 6 gold character that would fit on this board.
Yes.
I think you do want to get a power icon to deny Asha the unopposed power.
Yep.
Although it won't work anyway because you know that Melisandre can fish something out of your hand, so I guess that's a constraint as well.
Right. It's good that John Dietrich, that the Baratheon player, has the Begging Brother on the board, as that will hopefully help him keep Tinder Marge under control a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's certainly part of the goal, and allows an eventual mace as well to be manipulated a little bit more.
Yep. John Kraus certainly thinking about his options.
And a fair bit of glare coming off those cards, so it's hard
it's quite hard
to see exactly what they are. I mean, they're green.
Yep.
they're green, and certainly I can see Randall's arm reaching over his back.
Yep.
That's...
And there he is. Triggering the high tower for a gold in the card.
So this deck isn't even running Lord Renly's Ride, is it?
I don't know. I don't know if it is or not. It seems like it might be something that got cut, even though that seems crazy. But
it seems crazy, but I mean, this deck runs a very, very limited event base, and we've seen Hand's Judgment, which even that is kind of hard to squeeze into the normal Banter Bridge.
Right.
So I guess that it's not running it.
Yeah.
It's not central to what it does, even though it gets really good mileage out of the Intimidate. My guess is that it doesn't run it.
Right. Right. I would agree that is probably the case. So we got that.
Right. So Scene in Flames that is surprising no one.
Got a Rattleshirt's Raiders, Olena's Informant, Highguard and Honor Guard.
So this is a big call because your opponent's going to try and drop something in on a Summer Plot next turn, and you're picking that card out.
Yep.
I think
he's playing the like Wardens of the Reach, that little Corset army.
That nobody played. We didn't see that in the last game, did we?
No, and I have
one
not
for each reach location.
Played in forever.
I don't know if I've ever seen it played since the actual just straight core.
Yeah,
because you didn't have enough Tyrell cards to fill up your. Yeah, there's nothing particularly impressive. The fact that he didn't pick out the rattle shirts does suggest that he's not running attachment counters to Mace and Tinder Marge.
Right.
So, this is a useful thing to pick out, especially with Melisandre. Hopefully he remembers to trigger the kneel.
We can only hope.
Presumably on Marge herself. Since he's... Oh no, he won't get military claim anyway, so he won't be able to deny an icon entirely.
Right.
So then presumably the military icon, yeah.
Yeah. All right, triggering Mel. There it is.
Yeah, the military icon melt.
So he can get 2 unopposed with Asha and stand her both times.
A very minimal investment and a fairly safe.
Yep.
Neither of them gives any claim whatsoever.
No, not at all. But
so
power for essentially
nothing. It's 2 power for no commitment.
Following that up, he could force through an intrigue if he wanted to.
He's seen that hand. It's not one he's terribly scared of.
Right. Yeah, I'd imagine he's putting a greater priority on protecting his own hand.
Yeah, his hand's got to be better than that hand. That's not exactly a very impressive hand. And It's not a big threat for a Bitter Bridge trigger next turn either.
Yes.
I mean, it's dropping a 4-coster. That's not scaring anyone. Still, players have been known to get greedy, so we'll see what happens with this.
Yeah, I mean, I could see him doing like an intrigue challenge with just the begging brother. Potentially.
Either drawing, yeah, I agree.
Right. I suppose John Kraus can just block with Marge and collect renown, so that's not really...
Yeah, which she's not guaranteed to get either on offense, so...
Right.
I don't know. I would, given this hand presence...
Probably
just sit.
Yep, agreed. All right, so passing challenges then, and Dom goes to John Dietrich.
Bringing up to a total of 3 power.
3 to 0.
1 gold on a car.
Yep.
It's an important enough gold, but it does not cancel attachments, so Bodyguard is still there.
True enough.
Certainly, I'm, not tempted to Valor here at all.
No.
And even with the Iron Mines and the Asha Dupe to back it up, it just is not a situation you want to be in right now. Even though you've seen that weekend, he's got characters, and I just don't see a reason to do it.
Right. With that,
looks like that was a time of plenty. I don't necessarily think that's a good call.
I imagine that
cards in your opponent's hand, especially when they can use them the way the Bitterbridge deck can.
Right.
But maybe there's something he needs to marshal. Maybe it's a Robert. Maybe.
Sure. And he's got to play it at some point.
Yeah.
And maybe he just wants to get it out of the way right now.
Mm-hmm. Or maybe he's just really digging for another Relore trigger. That's also possible.
Yep. That could certainly be the case.
There's a reasonable chance it'll be a mirror plot.
Yeah.
Because I think that no, he's going for gold with the cards that he had in hand. That does seem like an interesting choice. And again, this is a situation where as Dietrich, surely you've got to be regretting giving him an extra card to spend all that gold on.
Yep.
This is not that. This is a plot flip that Kraus comes out ahead on. I think. Yes, he does. He gets more gold and just as many cards.
Yep.
Then again, I am rather harsh on Time of Plenty. I don't think it's anywhere near as good as people play it.
It is played quite widely.
It's played very widely, yeah.
Yeah. I appreciate it, and this might be more of like a meta thing, but I do appreciate it as an opener that very little can mess with. They can't be affected by naval or riddle, or they're not going to play something that's going to really mess you up on the first turn, which is something that can be quite common depending on your meta. Ooh, that went in.
Well, that switches things the other way. Yeah, it's a very stable opener, but I mean, there's so many times where I'm so glad my opponent's given me an extra card.
Yeah. Yeah,
and you got to take that into account. Like, think about how you feel when your opponent flips that plot. And if you feel good about it, then you should stop flipping that plot. Well, Robert versus an army. I know who got the better of that exchange.
Yes. Got Maester Wendemir. Looks like Little Theon in there. I see a Queensman as well, which could provide a lore trigger and even more hand destruction.
I can see that being pretty valuable against this HRD deck. Yeah.
Yep.
Certainly, it might serve to deny them a high tower trigger, which is technically denying them an additional card as well.
Right.
So.
Dupe for Robert. That's pretty good.
Now, this may be attributing motive that isn't entirely fair. I think this plot was flipped as a way to guarantee marshalling Robert.
Yeah.
Or trying to marshal Robert. But your opponent's playing Bitterbridge.
It's true.
And 6 gold, yeah. Why does he have 7 gold? Oh, Littlefinger, yeah. So 7 gold would have been sufficient to marshal Robert.
There's that Queensman. So he's going to look at it. He's going to kneel that Fishmonger in a moment to... I guess he can only discard non-character cards, or...
Correct, non-character cards.
Right, which is actually nothing. They're all character cards in there. But he's getting a good view on what exactly there is on offer.
And still 4 gold remaining. He's got a couple options, things like the Theon. How many of those options really matter with this current board presence?
Right, he's got a very
I'm guessing he's going to marshal Theon because people do, and he's very easy to do the math for.
Yeah. Looks like going with Maester Crescent. Maybe discard that bodyguard.
Yeah, seems like knowing that it can't be replaced this turn either, because it can if he draws into one with high tower, but there's no character cards in that hand.
Yes.
I imagine that Bitterbridge deck is running 36 or more characters.
Oh, surely. Yeah.
Or maybe 36. That would be my guess.
Yep. Playing Allery. And I think that if he wants it, that John Dietrich will be in pretty good position for a Valar.
Yeah, now, yes, with Tindermarge and Randall on the chopping block. I mean, Kraus is certainly going to play Marshall with that in mind. There's no doubt about it.
Yep.
And that's actually, yeah.
But even just wiping out that existing board and keeping, you keep Asha and Robert, you use the Iron Mines. I think I saw a Risen in John Dietrich's hand as well. Though that isn't very useful for saving too much. Maybe keep that dupe on Asha.
Is it worth it against a deck that's not that aggressive?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you give her 5th strength. That's not bad.
Mm-hmm.
It's true that it's sort of counterintuitive on Theon. Feed partial Theon just to be able to save him.
Yeah.
You hate bumping his strength.
Yep.
I mean, certainly the Greyjoy player can expand larger than normal, knowing that these Tyrell decks are not running Valar Dohaeris at all.
Right.
Which tends to be the main constraint to expanding with these big characters.
Yep. Playing out the Wardens of the Reach there. A big beat stick army.
Not even that big. I mean,
not even that big. I think it's 5 strength.
Bitterbridge and the Vineyard are both a Reach. Is that right?
I think so. And I believe Hightower is not.
Yeah, that's my guess as well.
We will be going into challenges here. Robert Baratheon going to be able to do some work on the intimidation front.
I also gather that very few in the stream chat are watching the curling happening tonight in Pyeongchang.
Seems likely.
Lem should have lost his icon. Robert is loyal. That's entirely correct.
True. It's true.
And Cosmos People is new here. Say hello. Well, hello, Cosmos People.
Here from this challenge. John Kraus just thinking about it a little bit.
I'm wondering whether that vibration at the table has got to do with the camera or the table, because John Kraus is there tapping his foot like mad.
Yeah,
There's a little bit of vibration there.
All right, so claiming Randall Tarley, attempting to use Marjorie. Got to use the begging brother on that. Yep.
That is basically saying, hey, you want a Valor next turn?
And Marjorie gets intimidated.
So that was military opposed by the army? That's right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Expect we'll probably see intrigue. Not sure if I like sending Littlefinger. Probably use the Begging Brother instead. Relatively minor quibbles.
Well, Littlefinger can draw both of them into the challenge.
Also,
I guess so can Begging Brother. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, these nervous players have to stop tapping those feet.
Maybe it's just a little California earthquake. Very minor.
What's the worst thing that can happen in Minnesota?
Are
there still some tornadoes that make their way up there?
Sometimes. Yeah. That's pretty much the worst.
And none of the flooding from Manitoba really makes its way down.
Yeah, that will affect kind of northwestern Minnesota, like the Red River Valley area.
Red River is a flood basin the whole way through.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, but so up by the Red River there'll be some flooding, but nothing like that down by the Twin Cities at all. Mm-hmm. It's mostly just tornadoes occasionally, lots of snow, blizzards. So there's power claim there. Or unopposed power, rather, because there is no power to claim. All right, Old Town Informer are going to be doing some digging here.
Double bestow? Is that double or single bestow? Single bestow. He only drew one card. And he'll have to discard... Nope.
No, he put 3 gold on
He put 3, okay, yeah. So what is he digging for?
Some way to
answer that, Valor?
Yeah, maybe he wants more big characters that he can pop in with Bitterbridge. Because right now, I feel like John Dietrich doesn't even need the Valor.
That's true.
His board is, I'd say absolutely stronger than John Kraus's.
Agreed. The concern is, does he want to ensure that Marge stays off the board for the rest of the game, basically?
Right.
Is that worth sacrificing some of his board position and, 2 gold and 5 reserve and all those other things? And you're probably right, it isn't. But it is a limited window of opportunity. There'll be a lady in waiting or a bodyguard at some point, or a dupe on Tinder Marge.
Right. Going for the power challenge, just a little chump block there.
Sending in the character that doesn't have a power icon, but it's been pointed out that Robert is loyal, I think.
I hope that's what they were pointing out.
Yeah. They did indeed. Well done. There we go.
Not that it really makes much difference blocking with just the Fishmonger boat versus the Monger and Lemon Cloak. You're not winning either way.
Yeah.
Dominance goes to Baratheon. So we're currently at 5 power to 1.
Yeah.
In John Dietrich's favor.
Not a crushing advantage. And certainly there are elements of Dietrich's board that lose power as the boards get bigger. So Melisandre and Asha both being examples of those.
Right. But Robert Baratheon just...
yeah.
Has a greater potential for strength, but his Intimidate is also less powerful.
Mm-hmm.
The wider the boards get.
So it is a valid question, Rabs. I think Valor gives you that safety of never seeing Tinder Marge again. Well, they're running close call, but that's besides the point. But I think I'd lean with Evan and say your board is stronger than theirs right now. You're going to have a stronger board than them post-Valor anyway, even if they get another save for Marjorie. So It's not a disaster when you play it later. So Yeah, I would say you probably don't have much of a reason to run it right now, to flip it right now.
I also think that, the Baratheon deck, with that Kraken banner, you have a better chance of drawing into more saves as time goes on than the Tyrell deck does. So you don't really necessarily have much to lose if you wait and, maybe they draw some saves, but it's I'd say more likely that you would draw more saves. Be interested to see if Baratheon Kraken is running Spears of the Merlin King at all.
Probably not. If you're running Iron Mines, you don't need it.
Yeah, it's a little bit of redundancy.
It's a great card, but it's for the Barra decks that don't have access to the Iron Mines.
Right.
So, plot decisions, we'll see. Does John Dietrich agree with us? Can John Kraus make a decision? Find out after these messages.
30 seconds. I guess 30 seconds may have been optimistic. All right. All right. So first snow.
First snow of winter.
And then here to serve.
So I guess you get the Crescent dupe.
Yeah.
I guess that's kind of telegraphed.
And first snow, this is not at all bad for John Dietrich and the Baratheon side. Shrinking the board increases the power of Melisandre and Asha, and to a certain extent Robert, as we've talked about. Plus, it puts those
Begging brothers back in the hand.
Characters right back in your hand for you to trigger them again.
Yeah, and Crescent staying on the board, so it's not as crushing, and they can't trigger Bitter Bridge this turn. So.
Yep. Yeah. Yep.
It is actually it's a weird call for John Kraus. I don't know what he hopes to gain from it. He's not clearing any significant threats.
Yep.
And I don't really know what he's going for here. Maybe he's going to be in a position where he's forcing a Valor next turn, and he wants to be able to trigger Tindermarge, and that's really all the space he needs.
Yep. Could be.
Even with if he thought that Dietrich would be flipping Valor, I don't see what advantage that gives you. The 3 characters that are sticking around with saves are all above that 3 cost range.
Yep. Red Keep is going to be big for John Dietrich, giving him that consistent draw source. Because I don't see John Kraus winning any power challenges unless John Dietrich allows it.
It can be hard to deny all of them. There's a lot of power icons in that board, but I think you probably
Old Town.
Old Town is a source of passive power. Yeah, I'm curious as to what, with that marshalling, what the idea behind First Snow Winter really was. He's losing a really nice bestow character with 3 gold on it already.
Yep.
I also don't get this insistence for duping your locations. When you
Agreed.
when you know your opponent is not running most of the location hate, and even if they are, you have a lot of the gold.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, yes, against a Greyjoy main house, or yes, but here, I just don't see it. Don't dupe your locations, folks, unless you think your opponent's running political disaster. I just...
Or you're playing main house Greyjoy.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I also would not have duped my location there. Unless, I guess, if I knew that, I would have to discard for reserve. Then why not? But even then, in some cases, just save it, to maybe eat an intrigue claim or whatever.
Correct. Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, looking at these boards here, this is obviously
Dietrich's
a
board
lot
right
better
now.
for Dietrich. Yep. That dupe on Crescent should be gone though.
They'll catch that.
Yep. Going in with the military.
Stealthing someone.
I think the Woodlands. Ah, yeah, there it is.
There, catching that. Yeah, the board states have been kept largely legal.
90% legal.
And when this is your 7th round for the day, 90% legal is pretty good. Not an argument you can use in a court of law. I know.
All right, so he's blocking there with the honor guard, ambushed in that Old Town Informer just to have for some claim here.
And to trigger Hightower and get the draw, really.
Right.
I mean, that's most of the reason, but
yeah. Another power, and then intimidate.
I'm going to have to double check on Card Game DB, the FFG owned website, what the traits are on Old Town and Hightower specifically.
Yeah.
Just to see whether they are the reach. Never thought I'd be looking this up. Old Town is in fact the reach.
Okay.
It is both traded Old Town and the reach.
Got it.
And Hightower is traded House Hightower and Old Town. So.
Got it. All right, so that's
plus 4,
strength, or 7 strength. Sorry. Wardens of the Reach. Going in with an intrigue and the Old Town Informer popping in.
With a single gold on him.
Yep.
Fueling a discard of a weenie.
Garden Caretaker.
Oh, I'm told Thrones DB is back up. I don't have to look this stuff up on Card Game DB. So John Dietrich basically has to give him an intrigue challenge to guarantee his red keep draw. So this is an unopposed intrigue. Unless... Or it will be in return, in return.
The Old Town Informer, yeah.
Yeah, I mean when Kraus uses an intrigue in return, it will be unopposed. Unless the cards that John Dietrich has in hand are worth sacrificing additional draw for.
Sure. John Kraus coming in for military, unopposed.
Yeah.
And there's that Risen on Asha.
There's the risk of the cancel because this deck is running Hand's Judgment, but you've looked into his hand twice, didn't see it. There's no great reason to expect it, and you've got 2 backup saves, so there's no real danger there.
And then Dominance going to John Dietrich. 7 power to 2 currently. Yep, looks like we're rewinding. Using Old Town and Dominance.
The trick of using it twice in between before draws to guarantee a trigger if you failed to get the trigger last time.
Yes.
Right, where you use it in Dom, and if you fail, you can use it again in Standing or Taxation.
Yep.
Knowing it's guaranteed to work.
Yes. Absolutely. She's got, let's see, a Versus Riddle, a Trade Routes. John Dietrich, that is. Moving Trade Routes into Wardens of the South.
Now, Wardens of the South. Did Dietrich not use his red keep?
I think that he did. Not, that is.
That he did not. Yeah, even if he's at reserve, you still use it.
Oh, yeah.
You would always rather have your 6 best cards in your hand, rather 6 out of 8 good cards.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
It's just a mistake. The argument that you'd have to discard to reserve is a fallacy, unless your opponent's messing with your discard pile with Triss and things like that, and you're worried about that.
Right. Higher quality hand is always better.
Yeah. Even if you get rid of a card that is good, you're replacing it. You're still gonna get rid of your 2 worst cards.
Yep.
Out of a set of 8, and if those are the 2 you drew, then you filtered out 2 shitty cards out of your deck. So there's just no, there's no drawback.
Absolutely. Playing out Begging Brother, fully loaded with cancels. Interesting that he didn't use those Ocean Roads.
Probably just thinks of them as these are the things that reduce Greyjoy characters. What do you think of Wardens of the South?
I think that... Oh, whoa, what is that? Pyron so Robar. Oh, I see. Okay, I see. It was the Bitter Bridge, and then okay, yep, that's how we're doing it.
Oh, and he chose to do that. Yeah, that.
I zoned out for a second, and I thought we were in Marshline.
So Turkus, we touched on this earlier. We don't know how it's being handled. Obviously, it's a bias against them because things are being ranked by total wins. I don't know if they're then going to be given an average number of wins on that last slot. So 3 out of 7 or something like that. Or whether their score will be whether scores will be normalized by the number of players. Certainly, it's a drawback for Martel. I don't think Martel is likely to win the tournament. It really does look like Night's Watch is going to run away with unless they all lose in the top cut, is going to run away with the total wins. So it probably won't be important for deciding the winner, but it certainly is a good question. And in fact, it's a question for Lannister as well, seeing as they now only have 12 players. They had a player drop out after 5 rounds. So there's, it's a smaller effect, but it's still an effect that matters.
Using Queen's Men and kneeling that Fishmonger there to discard.
This is what he wanted to do last time, just didn't have anything he could discard. This time he got rid of a lovely Arbor Vineyard. So
yes.
Vineyard is the right one, right? Arbor Vineyard?
Yep, that's right. Maester Wendemere, some extra tasty stealth on the power icon there.
Is that enough to get the unopposed on Asha? Not really.
Well, if you intimidate something first.
Did he not trigger Melisandre?
He did not.
And he saved a gold, so, I mean, that's...
I think it's kind of sure that it's coming.
Yeah.
I hope we can.
So Neil's the juicer.
All right, King Renly's host there.
So 7-4 right now for power totals. This is in fact right at round 7, Judsburg. So this is the final round of Swiss. After this, there'll be the Thrones War auction, run by Roy and someone else. I saw the banner go up briefly, but I haven't been following the details. The cut is tomorrow. And the cut is handled independent of teams, I believe.
Yes, I believe it is a standard, just like played like a standard cut.
There might be an exception for meeting teammates. I don't know for sure if they bracket it so that you are less likely to meet a teammate or something.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
So we're seeing a big swing for a power challenge there. Factor in that red keep, and you know there's a big Neil coming in.
Yep, big old challenge there. Looks like just the chump pose. Going up to 9 power.
And the intimidate.
Shutting down Renly's host there.
Yeah. Certainly no reason to let that stand.
Yeah.
It's strength 8 at the moment and would be 10 in any challenge it participated. So, yeah. Certainly no reason to let that intimidate fly.
Right. Absolutely.
I see the little banter and jabs happening in chat.
Challenges have gone over to John Kraus, looks like. He's making an intrigue challenge there.
It's an intrigue for 4 with 2 potential blockers. Certainly John Kraus not going to sacrifice any potential power icons.
Right.
At defense.
Defending with the Queen's Men there.
No, attacking with the Queen's Men. Oh, no, defending. Yeah, I see. Okay.
No, I think challenges have gone over.
Yeah, you're right. Challenges have gone over, yeah.
Yeah.
Got too big. Evan started off the day saying that there was, one major exception to regular thrones, and that there's just one little insignificant plot that has one tiny little change in this tournament. And then said he would say no more about it, but by all means, Evan, you can say more about it.
Oh no. I think it's a very cool plot, and I think it's disgusting that some players have chosen to abuse it the way that they have, and and surely the fault is on them and not on the designer.
Oh, I think that we should lay the fault squarely at the developer who should have caught this. As a designer, I just came up with an idea that then he had to test and make work, right? So.
Oh yes, but
all Danny's fault.
I'm friends with the developer, so I don't like to throw blame around over there. Got a power challenge coming in here with Marge and the Wardens of the Reach, and it looks like you'll probably be able to win that one to turn off the red keep draw. Moving up to 5 power on the Tyrell side. Dominance goes to Baratheon.
And we have a trigger of Old Town for a character. That's Paxter Redwine going straight to hand.
Yes.
Which is, again, a bit of an odd call for a character, I guess, if you're starved for them. But you're not running very many events, so I guess if you are running those hands judgments, you can cancel Dracarys for free. Good for you.
Yeah.
Oh, and he discards Paxter Redwine. It was basically just an Old Town trigger. Discarded to reserve.
Yeah, even John Kraus agrees that there are probably better characters in the deck in his hand.
Yeah, that's right. He's also a Lord, so dying for Marge is a relevant use.
Oh, sure, but there are plenty of better cards. All right, catching trade routes with the Riddle there.
Yeah. Helps you win dominance anyway.
Yep.
Yes, Rabs. He got him for Old Town and then discarded him to reserve. So Old Town gave him a power and allowed him to filter his deck, so he didn't have to draw a Paxter this round.
Ooh, there's Mace Tyrell. And that might actually be
a problem.
What tips this over into time to play Valor Morgulis.
Yeah, I could certainly see that. So this was a Bitterbridge drop-in. What did Dietrich drop with Bitterbridge?
I think Theon.
Yeah.
Yep.
I can certainly see reasoning to do that. There's going to be a fair bit of... Oh, did he not trigger Robar Royce? I still only see 1 power there.
Yep. Looks like it.
He's everybody's favorite mistrigger, isn't he?
Yeah.
So we're moving on to... it's like counting all that gold for marshalling. If they're there.
Yeah. So much gold.
And Dietrich playing first, marshalling that lovely lemon cloak we were talking about earlier, who does not have a power icon on account of Rob. Now he's going wide with the board here in a way that suggests I'm not valoring, but, you know, he can still valor if he feels so inclined.
All right. Lemon Cloak.
Arbor Vineyard is Nelt. This is the boat? Sea Bitch, maybe? Kind of hard to tell. I think it is Sea Bitch, yeah.
It's Sea Bitch for sure. Did John Dietrich not trigger Melisandre when he played Lemon Cloak?
Lemon Cloak. Is he R'hllor? I think he's just Brotherhood.
I think he's R'hllor. Well, let's take a look real quick. He is definitely R'hllor.
He is R'hllor, so you're right. No trigger.
I mean, maybe he's got a scene in Flames, and he's
He didn't have one last time, though, did he?
No, he definitely doesn't have a scene in Flames. Yeah, what is with that? That is, I guess it's what is with that is that it's Game 7 of Thrones War.
Yeah, and is that just a reducer? Yeah, that's just a. No, that's not. I don't know. Oh, and it's the Flying Axemen.
Yeah.
Plundering Axemen with 2 gold.
Yeah, throw some bestow. Strength 10.
So that's a second missed Melisandre trigger as well as a missed Red Keep trigger. Fatigue certainly an issue. I mean, I can't claim that at the end of the day I would do better, and I also suspect that people have had a few drinks as well as these tournaments go. And these board states are certainly conducive to fatigue. I don't mean that in a critical way. I just mean there's a lot of math and a lot of thinking about how this plays out. That's not obvious.
Yep.
So I don't mean that these board states are tiresome. I mean that they are tiring.
I do think it is a bit strange that John Dietrich just spammed out his entire hand there. If he was planning on doing a Valor.
It's possible that he's not running Valor. I mean,
I've seen it in his hand or his plot deck. I'm 90% sure that he has it. Well, maybe I'm confused.
Not triggering Mel is really, really a bad way to give your opponent more renown.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just counter for the fact that John Kraus didn't trigger Rovar Royce.
Yeah. He's like, okay, you missed a trigger. I'll give you a missed trigger.
So Theon should be able to push something by himself here, right?
Oh, yeah. Should be able to slip through with military or power.
And
I guess there's that Elena's informant that could block the power. Yeah. So probably it's going to be military then.
And probably do that first in order to give Robert the extra boost.
Yep, absolutely.
Well, this starting to look pretty good for John Kraus here.
Yeah, Renly and Mace and Marjorie and Helena's informant now.
And that informant was ambushed?
I believe so.
Did we see the high tower trigger? I didn't see it in detail. No, it must have been marshaled because he's still marshaling.
Oh, he's still marshaling.
My God.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Well, this is where it just descends into madness.
He's considering using Sea-Bitch on Hightower, but really, is that the denial you need? I don't know. Is he trying to take back? Oh no, he's using Mace to send the Old Town informant, or not an Old Town informant, the Olenna's informant.
Yep, of course.
Martell has a problem too for informants and emissaries from Old Town or Hightower. So it returns. It gives the power to Mace.
Soon as Yep.
Oh no, so begging brother to cancel that, apparently. or begging brother to cancel
Okay.
the power
So it
trigger.
never is gonna
One
leave.
of the two. Yeah. I assume you want to prevent the leaving more than you do the.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah. So it looks like that's what was done. Yeah. So he wants to deny any additional gold or power trigger. Hightower is off your own only, right? He can't trigger it off his opponent's martels entering play?
Yes, that is correct.
All right, well, these are boards that fairly cluttered.
Yeah, quite cluttered.
And some big numbers. High strengths boosts from reach locations and bestow tokens and all that other fun stuff. So what are we looking at here? We're looking at a board situation that really does advantage the Tyrell player. He's got all the pieces he needs to keep getting power passively if necessary. I don't think this goes well for the W.A.R player unless he Valors next turn, clearing that mace and W.A.R, even if that leaves Renly and Marjorie on the board. So you're coming off. It sounds a bit different, as if you're a lot further off and in a tin can. Yeah, possibly 2 tin cans in a string. I guess people in the stream, if you guys can still hear Evan. Yeah, so people can't hear you there, Evan. So that does look like Theon launching a challenge. Presumably that's a military, knowing that he can get that unopposed. He can win the power challenge with Theon alone as well because he's got the backup of the Red Keep. The cartoons, the Charlie Brown, like the teacher in the Charlie Brown cartoons. Yeah, someone actually trivia quizzed me on that. I didn't know it was. What is the line of, or what are the words uttered by the teacher in Charlie Brown? That is a great comment in the stream chat that actually Renly would die to the Valor. He can't be saved while there's a king in play, and Robert is a king. So that Valor would look pretty tasty for John Dietrich, but really does raise the question as to why he threw his entire hand at the board in the way that he did. And so we'll see. Yes, they probably only do have internet during daytime hours, and it's still winter, so they only get about 2 hours of daylight. It's very painful. So we're still resolving this. Rabs, that is a possibility. You do all this to trick them into believing you're not running Valor. and you lure them into playing out their extra informant, and that really gives you the edge. Evan, it is a well-strategized disappearance then. So Robert looking to see if he can push through this board. Certainly 2 stealths, and Robert himself with the strength boosts, plus the backup from the Red Keep is a lot of strength. But I'm not willing to do the math, and obviously the players have to. Rabs, yes, quite possibly. Although we can hope that Dietrich remembers if John Kraus doesn't. But it's certainly easy to forget. Evan is back.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can, yes.
All right. Had to restart Skype, but I have returned.
You have returned.
Yes. I was just trying to avoid having to do commentary on this board state that we have now.
Okay, they're going for the challenge, a power challenge with double stealth. Yeah, but doesn't look like Robert's going in for the kill.
Yeah, so he might just be hanging back on defense since the military has already been done.
Yeah, the military was a little unopposed.
Yep. Just a little one. Well, that's all you need. Squeaking out that power.
I mean, a power would have been the same power amount if you just sent Theon in.
Sure.
Because he's backed up by the Red Keep, right? So he would also have gotten a power. But he may be planning on winning this power challenge, in which case that makes sense.
Right.
It looks like he's planning on winning the power challenge, but that does mean he's sacrificing draw, which means he can't be planning to Valor next turn. If he's really willing to deny himself any draw?
Yeah, I think that we figured that he's not planning on Valorane when he spammed out his whole hand at the beginning of this round, leaving himself with pretty much no cards left.
Well, yeah, and now that he's not even allowing himself a replenish with the Red Keep, it's quite possible he's not running Valor or just not considering playing it.
Yeah, he could just be trying to outrush it, potentially.
It doesn't seem hugely effective here. He's really throwing everything at this power challenge. I do not know why.
Yeah, it seems a little bit weird, to say the least.
I mean, if he has a superior claim and some other trick up his sleeve, sure, but he doesn't.
Right. It doesn't make sense unless it's giving him the win.
Yeah.
And I don't think it is.
I mean, I guess he's just figuring the Intimidate denies him a power, and that's good enough. But I'm not sure it is.
Yeah.
So we're looking at this board. We're talking 5, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. That's a power challenge for 25, plus 1 for every blocker.
Yep. And then we've got on the other side, so those 2 wardens are each 7 strength. Where did the stealths go, though? Did we see that?
No, I didn't see that.
I'd imagine he probably stealthed the 2 wardens and like Renly, or he only has 2. So the 2 wardens or 1 warden.
Yeah, you want to lure some renowned character into blocking, I guess, but he didn't, and So, and he'll get his Intimidate, and he'll get his Renown, and he'll get his Claim, but why? Why did he do this?
Yep. So, yeah, he's a 12 power now to 7 on John Kraus's side.
Gets to deny the Insight draw as well, but, you know, again, I don't see that as being valuable enough.
Agreed. So John Kraus is going to be able to snap back. He'll have his own Intimidate with King Renly's host there. That is a lot of Nelt characters.
Well, unless you have a way to stand up that Robert. Unless you have a super secret Ours is the Fury in your hand. And wouldn't that be amazing? I don't see
sweet.
how this... What did he kneel out? There's still a King Renly's host with Intimidate there on the board.
Yep.
So this is not looking stellar for Dietrich here.
Yep.
And he has one card in hand, which is just begging to be intrigued. I'm hoping that's an Ours is the Fury. That would make me so happy.
Yeah, that would be pretty excellent.
And he's got the gold for it, so come on, let it be true. A man can dream. Nope, it's a Rose Road. Or sorry, it was a Rose Road.
Well, it still is a Rose Road. It's no longer a hand of cards, but a hand of cards.
Time is likely close, so that may be a factor as well in how this was played.
Yeah. Yeah, if time had already been called, and he just wanted to make that one big power push.
Although at that point, he'd already won, and he could have just sat on it as well. He didn't need the extra. Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
So military with W.A.R and
The host and the wardens looks like.
Yeah.
That's like 19 strength military.
And then he'll get a power challenge with 2 renowned characters, bumping him up another 3 power.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if Dietrich goes ahead and uses an Iron Mines here, I'm going to be extremely perplexed.
Knocking down Silence's crew there with the Intimidate.
Yeah, I mean, that character's up at 10 strength already by itself, plus 2 7 strength wardens, plus.
Yep.
So here's the power challenge. So it gets opposed for 5, I guess, or 6 for negligible.
Looking at 9 power to 11.
So what's it going to be? Is it going to be the Valor?
Let's see.
Is it going to be time in the end of the game? That's also.
Yeah. Kraus is going to win dominance as well, it looks like.
Yeah.
I guess there's a lot of gold on John Dietrich's plot. I'm not sure how much.
Enough to beat a Warden at 7 strength? No.
Yep. So there's dominance.
So 11-8.
High Tower comes on back.
And they got to fit plot 7, I guess.
Yep.
Or actually, 6, yeah.
Yep.
Well, at this point, he might just flip Valor by accident.
Using
Old Town trigger gives him up another power, so I think that puts him at 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
I think he's at 11. I think he's got 3 power off the edge of the screen there.
Oh, okay.
On his faction card. If he's stacking them up in rows.
That's also possible. Yeah, and I mean he's got 2 passive power triggers he can get right now.
Yeah.
So we gotta. I mean, Valor has to be what's coming up if he has it.
But Valor. But otherwise,
he must not have it. There's no way he plays this way if he does. Like he should have played defensively on the power challenge. So we have a.
Yeah.
That must have been time then.
Does he have?
He does have Valor. That is Valor right there, but.
Okay. Well.
But the game was conceded. So I don't actually know which way that went. I don't know if that was time or just a player conceding. It's possible that Robar Royce was triggered, and that's a stack of 2 there.
I mean, John Dietrich extended his hand, so I'd imagine it was a concession from him.
But Valor in his plot deck, it just doesn't seem... Like, that's a Valor we're seeing at the top of the thing.
It doesn't really make any sense why he was playing that way if he had Valor.
And if that was time, then Dietrich should have won.
Right.
Right?
Exactly. Well, all right then.
Well, a confusing and not necessarily satisfactory ending for us, the viewers. We may have to wait for the Justin Pavilion entrance. That was very weird. It looked to me like, unless things were stacked in strange ways, that a Valor should have been able to clear enough power to make the difference. He had a Valor in his plot deck. I really don't know what happened there. And if it had gone to time, it looked like he was at 11 power, and maybe he was below. That's a possibility. Maybe it was time had been called during that last round, and we didn't see all the power on the board for the Tyrell player. Right. That seems to be the most logical explanation. And so the mod win was converted into a win, but that was weird.
That was definitely weird. Well, that was so that is the end of the Thrones War stream for today. So that was round 7.